Hi, Mandela. Hi, Savannah. My name is Neil. I'm with Dorkaholics. Big fan of Reginald the Vampire. Um, how would each of you describe the relationship between Maurice and Angela? Savannah, you can go first.
Okay. Hi, Neil. Nice to meet you. Um, how would I describe our relationship between me and Angela and Maurice? Oh, complicated. That's for sure. Um, I would say it's a, I mean, the thing, the kind of the story of me and Maurice is that it's a story about forgiveness and um, those long, complicated relationships that have a very strong presence of love and hate and that feeling of loyalty and attachment to one another. Um, the whole kind of thing about me and Maurice is how long can one hold a grudge for? Yeah.
Mandela?
Yeah. How would I describe Angela and Maurice's relationship? I would say it's kind of like a Mr. and Mrs. Smith in a way, but a little like more drawn out through decades and such. But I would say it's a twist on a love story, and with all the developments in that relationship, and again the immortality aspect. It's kind of like Angela said, or Savannah said, how long does a grudge last when you live forever? And even in some of the scenes that we share, we kind of discuss that a little bit or hint at, maybe there is a future where we could forgive or yeah, it's interesting though. I think there's definitely a complex, multi-layered relationship there, and there's so much to unpack. And hopefully with the season two, we get to dive into that more.
What has been each of your favorite part of being on this series? Mandela, you can start us off.
My favorite part of being on the series was just the opportunity to do something new, and do it with people who I haven't worked before with, and say something fresh. You don't usually, there are a lot of vampire shows, throughout the year, but this one kind of puts a new spin on it, and I'm happy to be a part of the new retelling of a classic tale with, new faces and such a diverse, not just ethnicity, but gender, sexuality, body type. And we really say a lot in a way that's entertaining and fun for the audience. And I also find that being in a genre bending show, you get a chance to do a lot of different type of acting, and it keeps it kind of exciting and interesting to watch.
Savannah?
I mean, besides being able to be on a vampire show, because I love vampires and I love like vampire lore. I love it. It's so fun. Um, it was fun to get to work on because I tend to say that I'm not a very like comedic type of person. I don't know. Everyone always says I'm very funny. No, but I just don't. I never. I'm not one for like comedy, so I never really go for that. And so for me, this was fun to get to work on kind of my comedic chops in a way of just what is my version of comedy and what's my version of playing that. So that was really fun to get to see when I would deliver something and people would like laugh and I'd be like, oh, that was funny. Oh, okay. Like, being like, okay, so, maybe I'm a little bit more figuring out my deadpan, or am I more active? Am I a reactive comedic person? So that was really fun to get to explore.
What are each of you hoping to see in season two for your characters?
I would love to get to see more of Angela's backstory. That would be really interesting. I mean, she's 400 years old, so that gives you so much time to play with. I love doing period stuff. That's so fun. So that would be great to see more of. It would be really fun to see more of like the hierarchy and kind of the complex things that go on there. Yeah, maybe why she's so angry.
Yeah, fingers crossed for season 2, but I think there's a lot of, really cool storylines we can dive more deeply into. Something I'd be interested to see is kind of, what brings Maurice and Angela together originally is the Black Panthers and the social justice and the agency we have in that, area. And I want to see kind of how that's developed through the decades for Maurice and for Angela, and with the wrap up of season 1, whatever position we're in, how do we move forward with some of that? And I think that'd be interesting to see. I can't give away too much because spoilers, but yeah, if we could dive more into that, I think that'd be an interesting little storyline.
Was there a specific vampire film that you guys reference in coming up with your own portrayals of your vampire characters?
I watched all kind of stuff to get ready. Blackula was fun. But yeah, even everything really, even stuff like Blade, just to give a fresh outlook on what you can bring to the character and seeing what's out there and what's still lacking in that genre, and kind of giving you ideas as to what would make an interesting vampire and how would you want to play him.
I think the two that I referenced perhaps most would be Only Lovers Left Alive with Tilda Swinton and Tom Hiddleston. I really love that movie. It's a little bit more of a it's slower, but in terms of kind of more of the everyday life of a vampire when they're not doing something actively vampire-ish. What is that they do? What kind of music does Angela like to listen to? Things like that. And I keep saying this, it's going to be in like literally every interview, but in terms of like movement and the way I wanted her to look, Aaliyah, Akasha from Queen of the Damned. That's all you need is Aaliyah, Queen of the Damned, and you're good to go.
I know with the most recent episode that came out this week, Mandela, your character Maurice, it was very interesting to see him so afraid. It's kind of like, do you realize the level of cluster we're in?
Yeah.
Tell me more of that like feeling of going from like, hey, you're supposed to be in control here, you're leading Reginald, and now the situation has spouted out of control.
Yeah, I feel like kind of Maurice definitely feels that sense of responsibility for Reginald, and especially being the one who knows the vampire community and knows how they are. I feel like Reginald is just a little oblivious to the danger he's in, and I think being his mentor, one of the things, obviously you care about him, but you just because I don't know, if you've gone through something and there's a mistake there, you don't want your friend to go through the same mistake. You want to let them know, hey, I've done this, learn from my mistake. But I think Reginald kind of doesn't really see the wisdom I'm trying to give him. I've gone through it. I've had my family still be human while I'm a vampire, and I've seen that blow up in my face. And I having a girlfriend and a vampire is not per se the winning mixture, but trying to teach that and give that gem to Reginald without being the bad guy is kind of the hard part.
That's a perfect way to put it. You are a mentor, but at the same time, how do you like be respectful of him being his own person?
Sounds like every teenage relationship, like parent teenage relationship ever, where you're like, no, just trust me, I've gone through this, and your kid's like, nah, I'm gonna do it anyways. I'm gonna learn for myself.
Yeah.
Savannah, for your character Angela, now that she has her own assassin on the scene, how would you talk about your relationship, your character's relationship with her killer assassin?
Oh my gosh, I adore Nikki. Kristen did such a amazing job. She's so fun, and she just had such this energy. Nikki has such this chaotic energy to her that I think is very interesting for Angela. I think Angela in her mind had like a memory of what she remembered Nikki to be. And then she got there and she was like, oh, you're like 20 times worse than I remember you being. So I think Angela she's a very smart woman, and she's always playing chess. She's always playing the long game. And so for her, she had this idea of a strategy that was going to play out, and she thought she had it, checkmate. And then Nikki just comes in there and is amazed by Reginald, and just kind of really throws a kink in that. And I think for Angela, it's she's all about control, and that the fact that she is very much out of control is a lot for her. So that's going to be really fun and interesting to see how that plays out for her.
Savannah, I remember, like, I think a week ago, there was a behind the scenes clip release of you showing a tour of Angela's home. That I thought that was a fun little bit. What is it like for both of you to be part of this world building experience with Reginald the Vampire?
Oh, it's awesome to see it kind of come from its, state as a book, The Fat Vampire, and being able to speak with Johnny on set, who's the writer of the Fat Vampire books, and he came to visit set a couple times, and just kind of pick his brain on how he sees the characters, and then obviously talking with Harley and Jeremiah, the showrunners, and being able to bring elements that you feel the character would benefit from, and just collaborating and just having those creative discussions. I find that really fun. And just like you said, creating the world, being a part of something kind of like feels like we're getting in on the ground level, like the startup that is Reginald the Vampire. And we kind of are there to craft the world rather than coming in, say on a spin-off or something where the world's already established. So I feel like we have quite a nice position to make it how we see fit.
Yeah, it was definitely really cool. I had to go in for a fitting, and it was when they were still building a lot of the sets, like the Slushy Shack and like Reginald's apartment and stuff like that. And it was really crazy because I went in and it's just a bunch of like boards, dry like things. Like it literally, they're just building stuff and in this big empty space. And then I came in like maybe like a week later, and it's like I'm always blown away by the talent of, like just the sets and the props and everything, the detail that goes into stuff. Like half of the files that I'm looking at while during the scene, no one's gonna see it, but I read it all, guys. It's all pertains to like vampire, like all this stuff is like vampire, documents and stuff. It really helps to just really bring you into it. And whenever I step into Angela's mansion, it's Angela, it's really cool. And when they get everything going, it's really amazing to be in there when the regular lights will be on, and then the lighting guys get in there and they just set the tone and everything, and they set all the candles, and it's just a completely different world. And it's really cool to be able to see the movie magic happen in real life. It's really is magical.
I'm loving Reginald the Vampire. Can't wait to see how season 1 wraps up. But thank you guys for your time today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.